welcome to this week's episode of the Bond Room Unlocked, whereby I'll be inviting you to turn the key with me on my 26-year-old Bond collection. And today we ask, is From Russia with Love the real spy film of the franchise? Let's check out the room and proceed. From Russia with Love is the second film in the EON Bond franchise and Sean Connery's second film at portraying James Bond, and it's based on the fifth novel by Ian Fleming. It is essentially a Cold War thriller and, for me, the most spy of all the films in the franchise.
So From Russia with Love, for me, the best spy film in the entire Bond series. Not only does it carve out a place for itself, a very special place within that genre, but it also sets a lot of the groundwork for how Bond will interact with his allies, with Bond girls, with gadgets, and it really sets the formula for the following films.
It certainly heads in that direction, but for me Goldfinger is the formula film of the franchise, but From Russia with Love certainly plants the seeds. In this film it is the first time we are introduced to the crime syndicate Spectre. And as mentioned in previous episodes, Blofeld is physically portrayed by actor Anthony Dawson, who you may know portrayed Professor Dent in Doctor No, and is voiced by Viennese actor Eric Pohlmann. Now in the end credits, Blofeld is credited with a question mark. Was this simply because they didn't know who to credit the role to, or is it simply there to add mystery to the film?
This is Tom Pizzato from SpyMovieNavigator.com. Is From Russia with Love the only real James Bond movie that's a spy movie? I don't think so. It's definitely one of the best. I can look at a few of the other James Bond movies that I feel have a very good spy feel to them. I look at something like a Thunderball. Even Live and Let Die, it's definitely a different type of feel, but it is definitely a spy movie.
Now it's interesting that Tom has a different concept here, because I've always felt that From Russia with Love has a different tone to the rest of the films.
I think there's a few elements that make this such a great spy film, and I'll try and just touch on a couple of those. For me, the way in which the cinematography and set design comes together is one of the most impressive things. And you see this replicated in a number of different spy films and a number of different Bond films. But one of the things I think we can all agree is so special about the Bond series is the incredibly intricate set design and the scale that this creates. And this works so well in From Russia with Love when you see the initial grand chess set that was put together and the tension that that creates by encapsulating a very, very small, tense moment in a chess game that's interrupted by, obviously, a message from a Spectre to Kronstein, with the grand scale of the set itself, the massive chess pieces that are represented on the wall.
Totally agree with John here. I feel that some of the imagery that we see throughout the film is placed deliberately. The idea of watching or being watched is very prominent. You have the statuary at the beginning in the pre-title sequence, and they appear to be watching the cat and mouse game between Red Grant and fake Bond. The underground periscope that Bond's ally, Kerim Bey, received as a gift from the British Navy he uses it to spy on the Russian consulate and gain information. And then the death of Krylenko, Bond and Kerim watching him from the shadows before killing him dead. Very film noir. The list is endless throughout the film.
The moments of almost claustrophobia and contained activity that those create are just classic spy film. And even the phrase, operates in the shadows is just done to such perfection in this film. The way that the shadows encapsulate a lot of the events, and the light just cuts across the faces of the characters, so you can see again that tension.
Yes, lighting plays a big part in this film and is certainly what gives it its tone or feel. It's low-key, it's shadowy, very classic. It really pulls on its German expressionist cinematography roots. And that is certainly present in the assassination of Krylenko that we mentioned earlier. Tom, are there any more films in the franchise that are real spy movies to you?
GoldenEye is another one that has the Bond spy feel to it, but it brings in a lot of the action stuff that I'm not as fond of that these things have turned into.
Interesting. And anything else about From Russia with Love from you, John?
It's not only a spy film, but it's a real character piece with everybody in their playing their individual parts. Villains being a combination of really over the top with Rosa Klebb and quite understated with Red Grant, a man who's trying to really pass himself off as a British agent, which of course he seems to do quite successfully until he pairs red wine with fish.
Indeed, never pair red wine with fish, as it can leave an unpleasant aftertaste, as our man James Bond found out.
Keep still. All right, now get up on your knees. Put your hands in your pockets. Keep them there.
Red wine with fish. Well, that should have told me something.
You may know the right wines. You're the one on your knees.
Casino Royale stuck to the book for the most part. Yes, the game was different. They played poker instead of baccarat, but the spying and stuff like that is still there in that movie, which makes that one so good.
I really rate Casino Royale from 2006 and particularly like the film noir feel to the risky pre-title sequence. Bond in shadow, Dryden lit from behind, and then the short, sharp narrative that's used. It was a risk, but it paid off big time, and it really sets the mood to the film.
The character elements, I think, of this are something that pull from the spy film genre, that pairing the sort of everyday man with Bond or everyday woman with Bond, to really accentuate his skills and his ear for a situation, and also to show his calmness in those situations as well. I think it's done to perfection with Karim Bey, and even though Karim has his networks of informants and his networks of spy facilities, it's really Bond who pulls those out and seems to use them to their full effectiveness.
Yes, and it's these characters that are captured so brilliantly on this Franklin Mint plate. Now, Franklin Mint was founded in 1964 by Joseph Siegel, and it's renowned for selling creative coins, medals, sculptures and other collectible pieces. And some of those pieces included a set of 6 Sean Connery James Bond plates that were issued in 1995 and were designed by US illustrator Dick Bobnick. Now, these plates are made from fine porcelain and edged in 24 karat gold, and I absolutely love these plates, and I'm fortunate to have all 6. But the one I want to focus on particularly is the From Russia with Love one, and around the outside there we have the title of the film, From Russia with Love, James Bond 007, and that goes all the way around the plate. Then of course we have the fantastic illustrations on the front with various characters and scenes from the film. Likenesses are great. And then on the back of the plate we have the EON Productions Limited, and we have From Russia with Love limited edition, and this is plate number, if I can just make that out, I think it is plate number 60 out of 5,867, so there's quite a few, and it's from fine porcelain Franklin mint, and it's a decorative item. You couldn't eat your fish with red wine off this, of course. So yeah, I absolutely love these plates, and it'd be great to know if any of you have this or any of the others in the set or the whole set. Please leave a comment below.
I think that Tatiana Romanova is, again, one of the great Bond girls, and Daniela Bianchi, just the chemistry between her and Connery, I think is fantastic. And really, you don't really even notice that the actress is dubbed until you have several watchings of the film or find out from some other way.
Yes, the actress was dubbed by Barbara Jefford, and it's something that they did a lot in the earlier films. Now, the character of Tatiana, for me, starts off really strong. I mean, she's under the watchful eye of Rosa Klebb. She's very independent. She's in Bond's bed wearing nothing but a velvet choker. But by the end of the film, she turns into quite a wet lettuce. She falls for Bond, and if you fall for Bond, you either end up dead or you just wait to be rescued.
I think when they stick to the Fleming script, they've got more of a spy movie. When they deviate from that and get into the fantastical and the high action, it pulls away from being a true spy movie.
I do agree with you, Tom, and that's why I think From Russia with Love is the closest to a real spy film that you'll get within the franchise.
Obviously, you see so much influence here from different spy films. The editing from Peter Hunt, who obviously went on to direct on Her Majesty's Secret Service, I think it just creates such a great pair of spy sequences. The action sequence in the gypsy camp, where there's always that threat from the assassin that doesn't want anyone else to take out Bond but himself. And then obviously you've got the famous North by Northwest moment where Bond's being chased by helicopter, and really I think improves upon that because of the proximity that the helicopter gets to Bond. Obviously, famously, one of the stuntmen injured in that scene because the helicopter got just that little bit too close. And I think pulling on all of these different spy elements, the sets, the filming locations, the lighting, the different tempos and volumes at which characters speak, the chemistry between Bond and his characters and his gadgets as well, the fact that he's so confidently using that briefcase as a way that he knows will eventually get him out of any tricky situation, I think encapsulates what's great about spy films, what's great about Bond.
So let's wrap up. The purpose of this channel is to take the items in this Bond room and relate them to the films that we know and love. If you have enjoyed this look at the timeless classic that is From Russia with Love, then give it an MI6 stamp of approval and click on the notifications below. Why not subscribe and stay in the mission? Don't let 009 get a better mission than you. Now, you can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram for more Bond content. Now, I'd like to thank my good friend Tom Pizzato from SpyMovieNavigator.com, cracking the code of spy movies, who has just celebrated, along with Dan Silvestri, their 2nd anniversary. Congratulations to you guys. I'd like to thank you for your input today. And is there anything else that you'd like to add?
At the end of the day, if you need to see a real spy movie and you're looking at James Bond, From Russia with Love is definitely one of the best There are a few other in the catalogue that you could go to.
And not forgetting Bond fan John, do you have any final thoughts?
So, From Russia with Love for me is always been one of my top 5 Bond films. It's one of the very best spy films, and it's one that I will never get tired of revisiting.
And I'd like to thank you, the Bond Room Unlocked supporters, for being here and supporting me. And I'll see you next week at the Bond Room Unlocked. And remember, never order red wine with fish.